He should have never taken this fight. Is it fair to say that the greatest fraud check of all time happened on Saturday when Andrew Tate lost to 𝗔𝗱𝗿𝗄?
It takes a man to get in the ring with anybody because anything can happen.
And now he's going online and he's doing the babyface thing of like,
God decided on that day that that's what has to happen to me, so I did it.
your persona has nothing to do with failure. Your persona is about winning. Your persona is about achieving wealth and success.
He didn't look good. There's no way to say he looked good. He looked gassed after 3 rounds.
I'm proud of myself for trying, and I went in there against the champion who's really good. No, you didn't. You went in there and you looked awful and you failed.
Is it wild to say the biggest fraud check ever went down on Saturday when Andrew Tate took that loss to 𝗔𝗱𝗿𝗄? This fight should have never happened, period. If there was even a tiny doubt about him winning, he had no business stepping in there. Now he's online switching the vibe, pushing that soft angle like you have to live and I'd rather try and fail. Nah.
You have to have faith in a higher power. If God decides that for some reason he's going to instantly gas me when I was in perfect physical condition so that I lose, then I have to accept God's decision.
Missed that completely. Nah, that's not who you are at all. Your whole brand is built on dominance, not defeat. Your persona screams winning, money, power, and non-stop success. It's never been about falling short or saying, at least I tried. That energy is the exact opposite of everything you've been preaching for the last 5 years straight. So don't sell me on the I'm proud of myself for trying routine or the I went in there against the champion who's really good excuse. That's not what happened. You went in there, looked completely off, and straight up failed. That's the truth. And the only move now is to own it and keep it real. This wasn't just a loss, this was a full public unraveling in real time.
Yeah, obviously I didn't get the result I wanted, but truthfully the result I wanted was to see if I could still do it.
For years, Andrew Tate built his whole image on one bold promise. He never loses, he never cracks, never bends, and when everyone else collapses, he's the one standing tall on top. But one single night flipped that entire story upside down. When the fight ended, it wasn't the other guy that left people stunned. It was Andrew Tate himself that shocked everyone watching. And here's where things really went sideways. What happened after the loss is where the real breakdown kicked in. Stick around because the truth behind this moment runs way darker.
Like what he's saying right now is very true. Maybe God just had it in the cards. Also, maybe you just wasn't prepared.
This fight wasn't optional, it was a must for Tate. This had nothing to do with boxing skills and everything to do with taking control back. He needed to reclaim dominance, reclaim power, and rebuild an image that had been slipping for years right in front of everyone. The setup looked easy on paper. Former world-class striker, years of training, going up against a reality TV guy with limited experience. That matchup screamed easy work. The odds backed it up, the hype backed it up, and almost everyone expected a fast finish and a loud statement win. That's why this moment mattered so much, because a victory would have flipped the switch back on.
But I didn't quit, never give up, never retreat, never surrender, fight to the end, go out on your shield. Time is the fire in which we all burn. But I gave it my absolute all.
More fights, bigger names, cameras rolling again, and a clean return to the spotlight. But here's the thing, right when the bell rang, something felt off. His movement slowed early, his breathing didn't look right, and by the 3rd round, he wasn't pressing forward anymore. He wasn't attacking, he was just hanging on and trying to survive. That's when people started realizing this comeback wasn't going how it was supposed to, and the worst part hadn't even happened yet, because what Tate said after the fight is where everything truly began to fall apart. This is where everything really shifted, and it wasn't in the ring, it was in his head. Losing was never part of the plan. There was no backup script for this moment, no mental exit when things went left. At first, he tried to keep it together. He gave his opponent respect.
He was the man who won. He deserves this victory. Truthfully, completely, and honestly, I'm actually very proud of him.
Said the right things and tried to sound calm and collected, but the cracks were already showing. You could hear it in his voice, the short pauses, the awkward silences, the sentences that didn't fully land. Something was off, and people caught it immediately. Then came the explanation. He said, I got tired, not injured, not outclassed, just tired. And that answer didn't sit right with anyone. This is the same guy who built his whole image on discipline, conditioning, and being untouchable. By round 3, he was clearly gassed. Hands low, footwork gone, pressure missing. The commentators didn't sugarcoat it either. They questioned his preparation, they questioned his level, and some straight up called it a reality check. Just like that, the story flipped. This wasn't a dominant striker having an off night anymore. This looked like someone exposed when the heat turned up. And here's the wild part. Instead of owning it and saying, "I wasn't ready," he hesitated. And in that hesitation, the persona started slipping fast. Once the excuses began forming, there was no stopping what followed, because what he said next would end up shocking even the people who supported him the most. This is where the story really swerves, because after the calm tone and respectful talk, something flipped fast. The explanations started piling up one after another, and none of it felt solid anymore.
As far as his skill and ability, it underdelivered.
Did Tate look bad?
Yeah, he looked bad.
Maybe it was age. Maybe it was ring rust. Maybe the opponent leaned too much. Maybe the timing was off. Spot the pattern here. Every excuse got airtime except the one thing that actually mattered: preparation. And that's wild coming from Andrew Tate.
I've not yet had time to process why he beat me. I got tired after the second round, and I don't know why.
This is the same guy who built a whole empire screaming accountability. This is the same man who clowned people for failing, who said losers always blame something else, and now suddenly nothing was on him. He claimed he trained perfectly, said his body was in peak condition, said he did everything right. But if that's true, then why did his gas tank drain so fast? That contradiction just sat there, heavy and uncomfortable. No answers, no clarity, and the internet caught it instantly. Clips started flying everywhere. Commentary went crazy. People lined up his old quotes next to his new excuses, and the contrast was rough. Because the man who once said, "What do you call someone who loses? A loser," was now explaining why losing didn't really matter. And here's the thing, he didn't stop there. Instead of letting the moment fade, instead of backing off, he pushed it even further. He didn't just explain the loss, he completely rebranded it. And that's the exact moment this stopped being about boxing and turned way darker, because next, he brought something into the conversation that nobody saw coming.
And what God decides, and what's good for the universe, and what's good for people to learn from, and what's good for the general karmic retributions of the planet.
God, fate, the universe. And once he went there, there was no reversing it. This is where things stopped sounding normal and started feeling off. Suddenly, the loss wasn't physical anymore. It wasn't about conditioning, timing, or skill. It became cosmic. He started talking about destiny, about God's plan, about how some losses are meant to happen, not because you failed, not because you weren't ready, but because the universe decided it. Let that sink in for a second. This is Andrew Tate, the same guy who built his entire brand on crushing excuses, the same guy who said effort controls everything, that discipline is the line between winners and losers. Now he was flipping that message completely. He suggested maybe the win meant more to the other guy. Maybe the universe wanted to protect him. Maybe he was strong enough to handle losing. Read that again. The man who preached total control was now saying control didn't matter at all. Losing wasn't failure anymore. It became sacrifice. Pain turned into purpose. Defeat turned into destiny. And that's when people really leaned in hard, because this didn't sound like confidence or growth. This sounded like someone trying to survive a shattered identity. He even framed the loss as necessary, like suffering was his role, like he was meant to take hits so others could rise. That shocked a lot of people, because the top G persona never talked like this. It never embraced weakness. It never praised losing. That version of him didn't exist. But now he wasn't angry. He wasn't mocking anyone. He wasn't dominant at all. He sounded tired, worn down. And that's when fans started asking a dangerous question. If the universe decides who wins, then what happens to the man who said he controls everything? Because once you give that power away, you don't just grab it back. And it didn't stop there. What came next made everything even worse. This is where it fully stopped being about the fight, because the excuses weren't just explanations anymore. They turned into a pattern. Age, timing, circumstances, outside forces. And then came the biggest shift of all. Money.
Without understanding that there's a grander plan, a plan that's bigger than just you and your ego. The plan is bigger than just us and our egos, guys.
He made sure everyone knew he was still rich, still winning in life, still untouched financially. He kept repeating that the loss didn't really matter. But listen closely. For years, winning was everything. Legacy mattered, dominance mattered, being better than everyone else mattered. Now all of a sudden, none of that mattered anymore. And that's when people caught on to something terrifying. The rules had quietly changed. When he won, it was proof of superiority. When he lost, it didn't count. When he dominated, it was discipline. When he failed, it was fate. That's not confidence at all. That's coping. Fans felt it immediately. Critics spotted it in seconds. The comments turned ruthless. Old clips resurfaced everywhere. Clips of him mocking losers. Clips of him saying failure equals weakness. Clips of him preaching that accountability is everything. Now, those same words were flipped back on him, and there was no defense left, because the man who built his whole identity on never losing was now explaining why losing wasn't a big deal. That contradiction hit harder than any punch he took in the ring. And here's the unsettling part. This wasn't anger. This wasn't ego. This sounded like resignation, like someone trying to convince himself he was still in control while everything slipped through his fingers. And once people sensed that weakness, they didn't let go. But the real damage, it hadn't even happened yet, because what came next didn't come from haters at all. It didn't come from haters anymore. It came from his own supporters. And that's when everything truly got ugly. This was the one thing he couldn't control because the criticism was coming from inside the house. Fans started asking real questions. If he trained perfectly, then why was his cardio gone so fast? If discipline is everything, then why did lifestyle rumors keep popping up? Smoking, partying, long nights, the same things he once said destroy men.
Why would you do this? Why would you risk it all? Why would you get in there? And I felt a tinge of fear for the first time in my life. And that's when I knew I had to fight.
That's when the shield really cracked. Some supporters tried to defend him. They said he was retired, said he didn't take the fight seriously, said the opponent cheated. But listen to how bad that sounds. Every excuse stripped away more power. Then something even worse happened. People started questioning his past, the championships, the stories, the claims of being unstoppable. And just like that, the tone shifted completely. This wasn't just a bad night anymore. This was a full credibility collapse. The comments turned brutal. Clips turned into memes. The top G image became a punchline. And you could hear it in his voice afterward. No anger, no fire, just exhaustion. He talked about suffering, about always being the one who takes the hits, about being strong enough to lose so others don't have to. That's not dominance at all. That's someone trying to survive humiliation. Because when confidence is real, it doesn't explain itself. But when confidence disappears, it talks and talks and talks. By the end of it all, one thing was impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a post-fight meltdown. This was the sound of a man realizing the character he built might not protect him anymore. And what that means for his future is the real question nobody can dodge. This was never just about boxing. It was always about identity. Because when everything is built on winning, losing doesn't just sting, it exposes. For years, Andrew Tate sold certainty, control, discipline, the belief that effort always guarantees results.
Because the second I felt afraid, I knew I had to fight. I can't live doubting myself. Seeds of doubt grow into forests of inaction. I don't operate that way.
But this moment shattered that illusion, not because he lost the fight, but because he couldn't explain a loss without rewriting his own rules. First it was fatigue, then timing, then fate, then the universe, and somewhere along the way the message quietly flipped from "I control everything" to "some things are out of my hands." That's the real meltdown right there, because confidence doesn't need excuses. Power doesn't need explanations, and dominance doesn't need permission from the universe.
than it would have meant to me. Maybe Chase couldn't handle the loss.
So here's the real question. Was this just one bad night, or was this the moment the persona finally cracked? Did this loss expose something that had been hiding the whole time, or is this just the beginning of something even bigger? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let me know how you see it. And if you want more deep dives like this, breakdowns that go past the headlines and straight into the truth, you already know what to do.
Is the world a better place now that I've lost? Fuck all that. I want to win so that no one on the internet laughs at me.
And that's where this story really ends, for now. Because this wasn't just about one fight or one bad night. This was about image, belief, and what happens when a persona gets tested in front of the whole world. So now it's on you. Do you think this loss exposed the truth, or is this just the start of a whole new chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to hear them. If you rocked with this breakdown, make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who needs to see it. More deep dives, more real talk, and more unfiltered breakdowns coming soon. Don't miss what's next.